I thought I would finally do a video about the rally loop game mode in BeamNG Drive that was added some time ago. First have to start the car's engine, reverse it out of the service tent. Then we can head to the first time control. We need to go into the time control at a specific do time mentioned in the time card on the left and in the panel at the top. Thankfully there's an option to skip the clock forwards, so we don't actually need to wait for the full time. And once we've gone through, we are on the first road section. So at this point, want to mention that last year I made a video in which I basically did this in free roam mode. I selected a few sections of dirt roads, on this map actually, funnily enough, and tried to drive all of them in one go, while also driving to the start of each one manually like this. It's really cool to now see this be an actual game mode. To my knowledge, this is the only rally sim that does this, and will say it really adds to the experience. And here we are at the next time control. Skip the clock forwards, and then head in. After that, we just have to drive to the start of the first stage. Slowly approach the starting line and try to stage as close to the line as possible. With the car stage, I just have to wait for the countdown. There it is, rev up the engine and wait for the go. And we are off on the first stage. At first I thought about doing live commentary while driving these stages, but decided against that, since I needed all my focus to be on driving. Trying to listen to the co-driver and drive through the stage somewhat fast and well, while also coming up with stuff to say is not a good combination. So decided to do some voiceover commentary instead. Slow over this jump, don't want to damage the car's suspension. I took it quite easy on the stages, braked nice and early for the corners, went through them pretty calmly, and rarely went flat out anywhere. My main goal with this attempt was just to get through all three stages in one piece. Wasn't trying to set any records. Dared to do a bit of a cut through this corner to get a better line to the next, and same again here, even bit more of an aggressive cut. Was really careful through this section. Square corners into a narrow road, easy to mess up in a section like that. After that, there was this really bumpy section that led into a square left, and this would have been a big mistake. Going over the curbing like that would have easily caused a puncture, I would say. Thankfully this time I got away with it. Was able to press the throttle harder for a bit on this straight through this hay bale chicane. Had a small slide coming out of this tighter corner, and then just some medium corners until the end of the stage. Nothing of note to mention. Over the finish line.
Good job. Stop at stop control.
Now just gotta stop at stop control, like the co-driver mentioned, to get our time mark down on the time card. Again, stop under the tent and wait for a moment. Then out onto the next road section. So obviously, this mode is still in early development. Currently only have this one rally loop to do, well, official one. There are of course user-made ones, and it doesn't yet have stuff like traffic or car repairs or any official competition against AI or other people online. But what this mode does have at the moment is still great, and it's a good base to expand from. I would even dare to say that an expanded version of this has the potential to be one of the best rally sims out there. BeamNG has good driving physics. The damage model really suits something like rallying, where a big part of the challenge is making sure the car survives to the end. And since BeamNG started as a physics sandbox type of game, the maps are open free roam ones, which means that a mode like this is possible to make in the first place, compared to other rally sims where the maps are only the stages themselves. Doing the same steps here as at the previous time control, wait for the do time, go through the time control, and head for the stage start. Get the car staged and wait for the countdown, and once it's time, start driving. This was a bit of a longer stage at 11.1 kilometers. Started off with a really fast section, was really careful with my inputs here to make sure the car remained stable, and again nice and early on the brakes for the corners. Can't finish the rally if you brake too late and fly into a rock barrier. One minus side of driving carefully like this that I'm now noticing when trying to come up with stuff to say is that, well, nothing interesting is really happening. Just driving through the stage pretty cleanly and slowly, so probably most of it will get skipped over, since for a video I do want to focus on the more interesting stuff. A bit of counter steer coming out of that corner and bump, getting a bit too close for comfort to the barriers there. A slight hit against these kinds of barriers will destroy the car. Don't ask me how I know. And here's the first hairpin coming up, but don't get too excited since I went through it in the most boring but safe way possible. Another hairpin here, through which I drove the same way. Did a small cut here, very exciting stuff, and more hairpins. This time downhill and a bit tighter. Another hairpin. And another. Then there was this very long corner that tightened towards the end, so drove really slowly through it.
Hairpin right, 30, 4 right long.
And after it was another hairpin. Then soon after, another hairpin. After which there was, surprise, another hairpin. Then got to this quite narrow section where it was quite scary to drive fast. Just kept the car in the middle of the road. And this narrow road went on for a while, had a section with a wall on the left side, then a section without anything, and after that just some normal road barriers. Then finally the narrow road stopped. Didn't think I would call a road like this wide, but after that narrow section it did feel like it. And would you look at that? Another hairpin. And another. And one last hairpin for this stage. After one last tight corner, we cross the finish line. Again, have to stop under the 10 to get the stage time mark down, then we can continue on to the next road section. Gotta say that when driving through a stage at any kind of fast pace in BeamNG, you do get a bit of that fear, for a lack of a better term, that you would get if you did something like it in a real car. I think that is thanks to knowing that pretty much any kind of crash will be the end of a good run. Even small hits against something like a small rock on the side of the road can really mess up your suspension, or at least cause a flat tire. After something like that, you have to just limp the car to the end. And also knowing that if you do have to reset after a bigger impact or something like that, it's not just to the start of the stage or something like that, you have to restart the whole thing. At least the way I have set it up. I think a great addition to this mode would be to add a way to repair specific parts of the car. On the road sections it could be smaller stuff like changing a flat tire, bending back a bent suspension component, or attaching a loose body panel back into place. Then if they do make longer versions of this with proper service breaks, you could do bigger repairs at a service park. Same way through the time control as all the previous ones, then line up on the starting line and wait for the countdown to finish. And we are off on the third and final stage, which started with this decently long straight. It was quite bumpy though, so I had to be mindful of that. Still went pretty much flat out over it, before we get into some corners, through which I again go very carefully. Slowed down nice and early for this square left, didn't want to take any chances. Did hit the throttle a bit too hard coming out of the corner though. And here we go again. Another hairpin. This time a very tight one, where you couldn't really see where you were going since there was a downhill straight after it. This bridge in the middle of a corner was quite unpleasant. Over this small jump and a pretty hard landing onto a flat road. And after it, there was yet again another hairpin. This time quite the easy one thanks to being on this wide road. And another just as easy hairpin. And yet another one. And you guessed it, another hairpin. Surprise, another hairpin. It's as if we are on a mountain road that are known for having hairpins. You can see just how careful I was being on this stage. Going pretty slowly for such a wide road with easy turns coming up. And here is a nice long downhill straight into another hairpin. At this point of the stage, had a bit of a scary moment. No idea how I got away with that with just some slight damage. Had a bit of vibration in the steering, but that was it. No puncture, and the car still drove straight and turned well. Had a small slide here before another hairpin. Okay, this is getting pretty old at this point. Another hairpin. Thankfully,
50.
this hairpin is the last one. The finish is just after it. Now just gotta stop at the final stop control, and then we can start heading back towards the service park at the airport. Drove the last road section really carefully. You didn't want to screw up and crash the car at this point of the rally. So another thing that would be a nice improvement for these road sections is the speed limit. At the moment there is just a one universal speed limit for the whole road section that doesn't take into account the actual speed limit signs on the road. I think it would add even more to the immersion to have to follow the speed limits on the actual signs. Happy to say that I survived to the last time control at the service park. So through I went, and now just had to park up the car back in the spot where we started from. Was really careful not to break the 30 kph speed limit, wouldn't want to get a time penalty for speeding here. And there is the car parked up, and with that, the rally is finished. Had a great time with this game mode and can't wait to see it improved in the future. It has so much potential.